Hi, this is Dave Masters from Signal Hill, and you are listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I am your host, Keith, and we are back with another brand new episode. And on the show this week, we have Russ Daniels, guitar player of North End. North End are a post-rock, math rock band based out of Philadelphia, and I met them this past summer when I played a gig with them and our friends in Signal Hill. For my fellow post-rock heads out there, definitely check out North End if you haven't heard them yet. My favorites are the new single they put out last year called Centerpoint and their 2022 EP called Halted. There's a ton of good discussion in this episode about bands that North End has played with or collaborated with or toured with over the years. Bands that I love, some bands that I had completely forgotten about, and this discussion inspired me to go dig out my old hard drives and listen to some of my old favorites that I haven't heard in years. We also discussed the whole history of North End, their creative process, the music writing process in general, North End's recent tour with Signal Hill. I was very happy to get to meet Russ and North End and Signal Hill when we all played that show together this past summer. They're all great people and super talented musicians, and I loved this discussion with Russ. That is coming up shortly, but first, here's how you can support The New Scene. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a main channel with full video episodes and a clips channel with clips from select episodes. We have shirts for sale at our store at Deathwish Inc. Pick one up. It's a great way to support the show. And you can follow us on social media at New Scene Pod. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. It's the 30th anniversary of Manic Compression. That's the legendary second LP from Quicksand. It's up for pre-order right now in the Iodine Recording store, so make sure you get a copy because this will sell out. We've got 3 different vinyl variants. We've got a 64-page hardcover book chronicling the release and legacy of this influential album. Also up for pre-order right now is the 30th anniversary edition of Mantra by Shelter. Iodine Recordings and Smart Punk are excited to present the 30th anniversary edition of the 1995 hardcore classic Mantra. Make sure you pick up a copy soon because this is another one that will move fast. For more information, head to iodinerecordings.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And say hello to our sponsor for the month of November, Evil Greed. In addition to their online store, Evil Greed offers tour merch, merch handling, and logistics services for tons of bands. They also offer merch and distribution solutions for bands and record labels in Europe and the UK. Evil Greed has a carefully selected roster of artists and labels in their online store. They offer very reasonable worldwide shipping rates specifically to the UK and the USA. Make sure you head to evilgreed.com, check out the featured music section, the featured merch section. The record of the month at Evil Greed is the new record from Drain. It's called Is Your Friend. Earth Crisis, Destroy the Machines. There's an exclusive Evil Greed variant and new merch available at evilgreed.com. There's also exclusive variants of Eternity's Pillars by Sun, and Labyrinth by Faytooth, and A Short History of Decay by Nothing. That's the new record from Nothing, up for pre-order now. Sign up for the newsletter so you don't miss a thing, and you can follow them on Instagram at evil_greed. And now we are going to speak to Russ Daniels of North End. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Russ Daniels. Russ, welcome to the show.
Hey, Keith. Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Yes, Russ, it's great to have you here. North End, a great post-rock band, but can we define it just as a post-rock band? Maybe not. Everybody out there, do you love instrumental music? I know I do. Have you heard North End? Maybe you haven't. You should check them out. But it's great to have Russ here. I've been a fan of North End for a while now. They're doing some great things. They just toured down to Post Fest with Signal Hill. We just played a show together back in July. There's plenty to talk about, Russ, and we'll do all that. But first, I want to ask you, How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Nice, somewhat chilly, but decent fall weather in Philadelphia. So that's all I can really ask for. But yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. Where in Philly do you live?
I live not in the city. I live in a suburb right outside of the city. It's a town called Westchester. It's about 45 minutes from the city. Took about an hour on Friday when I caught Minus the Bear. They did their Meneseloso tour. They're on the 20-year tour from Meneseloso. So I caught them at the Fillmore. Took about an hour with traffic, but way less when there's not traffic.
Nice. Yeah, Westchester, I'm very familiar with. I was in a band with some people who lived out there. So I would be on that main strip and I would drink in Jitters. And I never liked it because I got weird vibes from that place. And I would be at the Note a lot. Remember that place when that was open?
I can tell you so many amazing stories about the Note. That's really where North End got its start. So yeah, you're
really
right where I live.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm very familiar. Did you grow up in that area?
Not in Westchester. So I grew up in Reading, which is about an hour outside of Westchester, a little bit further outside of Philadelphia. Small kind of town vibe, but like so much cool, like indie and underground music. Like I owe so much to that town for all the really awesome bands that I saw at like a super young age.
Yeah, Reading always had a really good hardcore scene too. Reading, Lancaster. There's a lot of good Pennsylvania hardcore tradition out there.
100%. Yep.
When did you end up in Westchester? How long have you been there?
Been here since about 2007. I went to college here. Originally wanted to go for music, but that didn't quite work out. Like it was like you're either going to be a music teacher or you're going to do music theory. And I don't know that I wanted to do either. Wanted to play classical guitar, but couldn't minor in that unless you majored in music. So I just said, all right, well, I'll just go to Westchester and figure it out later on. But then came here and like just fell in love with it. I mean, it was definitely like a place where you would like go to college and then like leave and either like go back to where you came from, move to the city, whatever. But like as I finished up school, I was like, this place is kind of cool. You know, it's kind of growing. I was like, I'm going to stick here and see how that worked. And it worked out really, really well. It's such a cool place to hang out, great restaurants, like great things to do outside. It's just a really, really cool community.
Yeah, I like it. So you wanted to do classical guitar, but you didn't. Now, I've seen you play live. I've heard your music. It seems like you could do anything. Did you put in your 10,000 hours? When did you learn? How did you learn?
Oh, I've been playing guitar for as far as I can remember, maybe 12, 13 years old. I kind of was like the normal kid growing up, played a bunch of sports. But when I started to get into like the punk and hardcore scene in Reading, I was like hooked on it like right away. So I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this in any way. And music was one of the ways that I got into that scene, is just playing music and not just listening to it. So it couldn't 13 or something. My parents bought me a guitar. I played bass a little bit, played acoustic guitar, did that and like just still doing it all the time. Always loved the writing element of music though, Keith. Like loved listening to like all the beautiful music that like all the bands around me were making. Not as much as like a cover band type of guy though. Like I love to kind of mess around and try new things, whether that be like new things with pedals or new things with custom tunings. I was always really super interested in all of that. So when you wanted to go to school, it's like you got to kind of learn other people's music and you got to learn how to play like Vivaldi on classical guitar. And I was like, that was kind of a cool challenge for like a week or two. But then it didn't seem like the thing I really wanted to do with how I wanted to express myself playing music. So decided to kind of take a different avenue and just solely work with other people to write original music.
Nice. So how old were you when you started playing in bands?
It's probably like 14 or 15. Actually with the drummer of North End. So we've been playing in bands together for over 20 years now, spanning all the genres, from the, hey, we're in our first band and we just kind of suck overall, all the way to punk bands, hardcore bands, metal bands, obviously North End now that we're playing. So because of that scene in Reading that we grew up in, and like how welcoming they were, especially to like young kids just going to these shows, these basement shows, it was like, hey, we could go do this too. And other people were like, yeah, why not? You could do this too. And, you can play, fast forward to 14, 15 years old, playing with Majority Rule and Page 99 and City of Caterpillar. So I had no business playing with those bands, but that community was just so amazing. It like helped us be like, okay, well, maybe we can like continue to do this and go play some shows elsewhere, do a little bit more with it. So yeah, it was from 14, 15 until now.
Wow. So you actually played with Page 99 and City of Caterpillar back in the day?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. It was at a place that's like always going to have a special place in my heart and Kevin's heart as well, the drummer of North End. It was just called The Basement. And that's all it was. It was a basement. It was this guy, Alex's basement. He, so many cool bands from like the mid to early 90s, like all the way until 2005, 2006, like so many crazy bands that I saw there. You might know Alex too. He was, I think, the second vocalist in Lit Golden Sky. If you remember that band, he played in that band for a little bit. He's like an awesome hardcore singer. But he's just like an awesome guy and was like welcoming the young crew in. And pretty early on, we were able to play with some pretty cool bands like Page 99. He was tight with those guys and like all level playing guys. So I got to play with them. I got to play with, Hot Cross. I remember we played with Hot Cross before and got to see like Neil Perry there. Didn't get to play with all of these other bands, but I think Daughters played like one of their first shows in that basement and I was there for that. And I remember one time I was like really young. It was like a show on a Wednesday in the summer. I just showed up and this band was like about to play. I obviously didn't know who they were. And the guy was like, hey, like this is, I don't know if it was their second show or their third show, whatever, but he's like, we're the Red Chord. And the Red Chord just played like some of their really, really early stuff in a basement with like just a couple dozen people there. And it was like, wow, I want to be a part of this. So that was how I kind of got in to be able to play with all those level playing bands. But it was like, they were super cool guys, obviously. But what I'll remember is their music being awesome. And then just the vibes of that basement, which is everybody, the community, everybody into it. Like, I feel like I've been kind of chasing that vibe with music and the bands I listened to kind of ever since then.
Yeah, same. We had a similar thing going on in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Like we developed our own scene there, and then there was a whole other thing going on in Philadelphia, and there was just a lot of that, and I'm chasing that too. And I feel like I have it again to a degree. I'm in a band, I'm playing again, I'm playing shows. I'm more involved than I've ever been. And that's where I want to be because that's where I'm most happy. How about for you?
Same. Like I remember when we played with you guys, we played with Memory Entry a couple months ago when we were touring with Signal. That's what I feel like I like said that to you. Like after, I'm like, you feel like a band that I would have listened to in the basement in Reading that I grew up. Like it was totally that vibe of those like level playing, like early Robotic Empire bands. So yeah, definitely like I love at this point, North End's been a band for, oh my God, since 2007, 2008.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had been that long. And then I looked up your whole discography and I was like, wait a minute, they've been around a long time.
Yeah, it's been so it's almost like we're still chasing that vibe and that excitement, but we're almost like echoing back to when we were a lot younger and like it feels nostalgic and new at the same time. Like just playing with those guys, it's always been Kevin, Pete, Marcus, and I out there playing. So it's like about where we've come, like also where we're going. Like we still want to play, we still want to do new things, we still want to go on more tours, but we've been around for so long. It's like I'm really fortunate to be with those guys playing for that long.
Yeah. When Let's talk about your trajectory with the greater world of underground music. Now, it sounds like you got into punk and hardcore and some classic screamo stuff, as I call it. Was that your main thing? Did more post-rock instrumental sounding bands become your thing moving into North End? Like for me, I went through all different phases. Crazy mathcore, classic metalcore, post-hardcore. When I found post-rock for the first time, that became an obsession for a long time. Like, how about for you?
Definitely was listening to post rock before I knew it was called post rock. Like that's what I would say. Like didn't have a label on it. I think that my trajectory matches kind of like Dave Knutson. Like I remembered him from Botch way back in the day, and I like Botch was like a super awesome band that I was really into in that hardcore screamo time. And then when Botch broke up, if you remember, like they branched out to a couple bands, but the two main ones were These Arms Are Snakes and Minus the Bear. And when I first started listening, I'm like, okay, These Arms Are Snakes, similar to the genre of Botch, not exactly the same, but like kind of the same. So I was like, all right, I'm into them. And then Minus the Bear came. I was like, wow, this is something a little bit different. And Dave started to bring in that more technical polyphony style guitar with the tapping and things of that nature. So I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. And then kind of on the side of that, as like streaming became a thing, it's like you hear Explosions in the Sky, or, you know, you get CDs back then, you go get Young Mountain, the This Will Destroy You record, and you kind of take both of those together. And I was like, I love the blend of the energy that Minus the Bear would bring, but then for Explosions in the Sky and This Will Destroy You, like the atmosphere that would be built, was something that really, really resonated with me. But I always stick to that like metal and hardcore roots. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with like bringing in some aggressive double bass or some really fast playing. So like, that's kind of the more unique element to it, but it's kind of a blend of those three things coming together. But then like, as I started to get more into math rock, it was honestly through North End. Like I remember when we brought Pete into the band, he showed us like a lot of cool bands right away. Like This Town Needs Guns was a band that, Pete exposed to, hey, if you check these guys out. And it's like, wow, like don't play like them, but been aspiring to play like bands like that for a long time. So once I started hearing them and like Maps and Atlases and all those bands that really brought in some technicality, that was when we were like kind of off to the races into like, how can we turn this more into a math rock project, but still keeping some post rock roots in there as well.
Yeah, Maps and Atlases. You just jogged my memory. I got to go back and listen to them. Whatever. There's an early release that's very mathy, and then I know they went more not mathy, but somewhere around 2007, 2008, whatever was out then, I loved that thing. Yeah. I got to go back and listen to it. When North End is getting started, do you have that technical prowess? Because you guys, you do a lot of the tapping, and I don't know any of the terms, tapping, sweeping, very intricate guitar work. Did you have that in your wheelhouse already?
I think that a little bit. We played before North End. Kevin and I played in a metal band that had a little bit more of the sweeping, a little bit more of like the progressive rock style that lends itself for some tapping or polyphony guitar. But then also like I play a lot of acoustic guitar music. I play a lot of like really influenced by like Andy McKee and Antoine Dufour. A lot of the early like Candy Rat Records guys, Craig D'Andrea, and they were doing like a lot of the tapping and things on the acoustic guitar. And like I would be so into that on the acoustic, but then like I would bring that into the electric guitar as well as like kind of a new spin on it. It's how I got into. Those guys helped me get into a lot of custom tunings as well. So it was like a little bit before, but honestly, like Pete brought in so much of that into North End in the early days, kind of playing over a lot of the things that I was writing. So that led me to be like, okay, like how can I do a little bit more in that space? So it's like a couple different influences that were there before and during. But I think I do it a little bit more now than I did in like some of our early records.
Yeah. So how does North End come together? Around how old are you? What's going on in your life? Set the stage for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kevin and I, like I said before, like Kevin and I met when we were in elementary school. I mean, I remember Kevin, I think he like won the spelling bee in like sixth grade and got a drum set for winning the spelling bee from his parents. So we were like, awesome. Like he's got a drum set. Let's go. So we played in all these bands growing up. But when I got to Westchester for college, I met Marcus. Marcus was friends with my then girlfriend, now wife. So I got to meet him. He played bass. We got together, played metal in a metal band together. But then once we did that for a couple of years, I kind of thought about, I love the metal music. I love the energy that it brings, but my writing and kind of my creativity was pulling me into doing like a little bit more melodic stuff than we had been doing previously. So kind of asked kind of Kevin and Marcus, hey, you all want to kind of change the vibe a little bit of what we're doing? And they were super into it. No cool story in terms of like the name of our band. Like, I think I just like saw it on a box or something somewhere. And I'm like, that's kind of cool together. And we get linked up with like, do you mean like the North End in Boston, Massachusetts? I've been there before. I've been to actually the North End of Massachusetts. Got nothing to do with that. So the three of us were together. And at first we actually wanted to bring in vocals. So we weren't instrumental right away. That wasn't our desire. So we were trying out a couple different people, a couple different male singers, a couple different female singers. But similar to how Kevin and I had met early on in elementary school, Marcus, who grew up in New Jersey, kind of central Jersey, had a friend named Peter Willis, who he had went to middle school, high school with. And originally Pete came out to audition to be the singer of the band. And he did a really great job with that. At that point, it was kind of at the end of the, hey, should we have a singer or not? I was kind of dead set on, I think I want to be instrumental. But Pete came down and I just like loved his guitar playing. And it like meshed so well. And just our vibes, like, Pete and I, he lives only about 15, 20 minutes from me. So like we get together and hang out all the time. We just vibed immediately. So I was like, went to him and said, hey, like, you did great overall. I want the band to be instrumental. Are you cool to like just play guitar? And he was like, yeah, of course. So we were kind of off to the races from there as an instrumental band. It like wasn't our original intent. But I'm glad we did it because we like were able to explore a whole bunch of different angles of our music to wind up where we are today.
Yeah, it seems like that happens with a lot of instrumental bands. Like it wasn't intended to be started that way, but it just ends up that way, which I like.
Yeah, so you got to feel the vibe on how is this all meshing together. And I think looking back on it, our music is inherently pretty busy. I mean, we could definitely have a vocalist on it, but it's busy enough. I want to let kind of all the different instruments shine in their own unique way. And I think back in the day, like 2008, 2009, 2010, especially in this area, there weren't a lot of bands kind of doing it this way. So it allowed us to kind of be a little bit unique in what we were doing and bring influences in from bands that weren't even touring around the area at this time. So, and it carved out a little bit of a unique niche for us in the area.
Yeah, like I found this music in, let's say, 2005, 6, whenever Mogwai Mr. Beast came out. And so I heard that record and it was life-changing. I was like, I need to hear every band that sounds like this. So I remember being on message boards like, who else sounds like this? And someone's like, check out Caspian, check out This Will Destroy You, check out who else? Hammock, and people would throw bands at me and I would listen to them and I was just eating it up. And then wait, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so post-rock wasn't a term back then. It was just cool instrumental music. So yeah, I think around this time it was not as commoditized as it is now.
Yeah, it was harder to find. Like I remember, like if you tried to do like Pandora, you did like post-rock or something, there'd be like 3 or 4 bands on it. Like you had to really seek it out. And I don't think there was like a label on it, like Mogwai, Godspeed or Sigur Rós. Like they weren't calling themselves post-rock early on. So you had to find them in pockets. And once they kind of put the post-rock and all those subgenres of instrumental, it became a little bit easier to find those different bands. I think there's some good to that. There's a lot of good to like discovering new bands. But it was that exploration back in those days, Keith, where you were like finding these bands, like showing your friends, and it's like, you heard of these guys yet? Like they're doing amazing things. That was just so fun back then.
It was. I've had that conversation recently. Now it's just Spotify, genre name, playlist, everything you can find so easy. But back then when I found this music, it was just word of mouth, and then you'd find a different label and you would find different kinds of post-rock. I forget the record label that had Do Make Say Think on it, but they have a bunch of really unique post-rock bands, and I would find them, and then I would be on to something else. It was used to be a really fun like Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, I loved like this kind of goes back to my earlier days, but like Level Plane and Robotic Empire, just knowing the labels that put out some cool bands, and then just going through whether like, remember comps back in the day when they would do comps and there'd be all these different bands on it, or just like looking through their roster and I'm going to check this band out. Like Combat Wounded Veteran, who are they? I'm going to go check them out. And then you'd be able to like go check out bands you hadn't heard of before, like through the label. I still like doing that. Like I still like doing that with different labels that I have like cool bands. I'm like, oh, what other bands do you have? So there's still some people doing that, but yeah, streaming has changed it a lot.
Yeah, it still happens both ways for me. Like North End, for instance, I found through Signal Hill. There you go. That's a recommendation.
Oh man, those dudes are the best. I mean, we toured with them, but like our story with them goes back even pretty far. I remember, I think it might not be getting the story beat for beat right, but like Pete bought either a CD or some merchandise from them, and when he did that, he either like literally physically wrote to them or like through their band camp or something, was like, hey, really like your band. I'm starting to play in, another instrumental kind of post-rock band. Like, if you guys ever want to come out to Philadelphia, like we would love to like play a show with you guys and put you guys up for the night if you needed to. And like Dave or someone on the from the single side responded. It was like, yeah, we're in. And that was kind of how it all started. And then they were coming to New York. They hadn't played a show in a while. So they actually played in Westchester, like right by Jitters and all those places you said. It was right on that main street. We played with them. God, it was probably back in 2011.
I was at that show.
No way.
Yeah. It was in like 2010 or 11, right?
Yeah. It was at a place. It
was like at a brewery or something.
Yeah. It was at a really, really small place. I think it was called, it's changed names a couple times, but I think it was called the Pale Horse at that time. Yeah. And it was just a place we actually, before we started playing with more bands, we would just play our music and then jam some of it and literally do like 2-hour sets where we were like the only band playing. And that was like one of the few places we would do that around Westchester and our hometown Reading. So you were really at that show?
Yeah. You played that show?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was a fan of Signal Hill since like 2007. Someone put them on a mixtape or a mix CD for me. And I saw they were playing in Westchester. So I took the bus from Philly into Westchester to go to that show. I still remember the shirt. I still remember the Signal Hill shirt I bought at that show too. I have it somewhere. It does not fit anymore, but hey.
That's so wild, man. That's so I did not know that at all. You and I've talked like a couple times. That's wild. I'm glad that I know that. That makes it that much cooler.
Yeah, that is cool. Was that the first time you played with them?
It was. It was the first time we played with them. I think they were doing something in New York the next night, but then every time they would come to the East Coast pretty much. After that, like you really felt like the scene of like math rock and post rock was starting to come together across like Philadelphia, Jersey, New York. You had like a lot of awesome bands like coming together and playing. So whenever they would come back, we would be on a bill with them and like Vasudeva or Gates, different bands like that. And then other touring bands would come in from out of town and we would link up with them. But yeah, that was like the first time. And then in 2020, we were supposed to go on the tour that basically you played with us on the tour a couple months ago. That was supposed to be in March of 2020, but that all, because of COVID, that all got nixed. It was
That's right. I
a
had
huge
tickets
bummer.
to that show in New York, and it did not happen. Wow.
No, it was a huge bummer. It was a huge bummer. We did the split though, so it wasn't like all bad. So we wound up doing the split together, which was cool. And then we always knew that we were going to get something together again. Like we weren't just going to like the tour was going to be done, and then we're never going to. We knew we were going to do it at some point. And then when Signal got on Post Fest, it was like the perfect time to try to get that back together again. So we did. It was so cool.
Yeah, all these connections you're reminding me of. Gates, I love that band. I found them in 2014 or 15. I was like, I need a good new emo band. So I listened to like 15 emo bands, newer emo bands that I heard people talking about, and I didn't like any of them except Gates. So I loved Gates, and I bought like their CDs from Bandcamp or whatever. And then that brought me to Vasudeva. I think I heard them for the first time in like 2017. What happened to them? Do you know what happened to them? Are they around anymore?
I know Corey's still doing some stuff. Like he's got some solo records that he put out that are pretty good. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they put out that record right as the pandemic hit, and then I never heard from them again. Guys, if you're out there, I need more. Come on, let's do it.
Well, with Gates and Vasudeva, like as soon as we heard both of those bands for different ways, I was like, oh, these guys are a little bit different than some of the other bands we had been playing with. I mean, when we saw the first time we played with Vasudeva, it was like in New York somewhere, pretty small venue. And I was just like, wow, like it was the best environment to hear them live for the first time, because they had their EP out, but then to hear them live, hear some of their newer things that later came out in like Life in Cycles and all those great albums to follow from that. It was awesome. We'd actually heard, kind of similar to you, Keith, like we had known Gates before we played with them because we were looking for like new bands to like listen to, and we heard their first EP and we were really, really into it. And then got to play with them as they started, playing their new stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like if anybody came from like the background that I came from or listens to similar music, like they're going to love them. We did a record in 2013 called Cognosphere, and we actually recorded it at Corey's house. Corey is the guitarist of Vasudeva, and Kevin recorded that album in Corey's basement. So it was North End with Corey and Kevin. It was an amazing time there.
Yeah, Kevin from Gates, because in researching North End, I saw Kevin's name come up a couple times. Did you only record with Kevin that one time?
We recorded with Kevin only that one time. When we did the split with Signal, he mixed and mastered that song. He didn't record it with us, but he helped us on the split.
Okay. Yeah, and then I was looking through the album art, and I'm like, why does this look so familiar? And I'm looking through all the album art, and I see designed by Rishi Arora, and I was like, Rishi from Signal Hill. I'm like, yes, that's his vibe, that's his design. That's why I recognized it.
Yeah, he like hooked us up with an album art for a couple records. He did it for Alpha State, which is our record that we came out with in 2017, the Signal split, obviously. And then we worked with a friend that was a photographer for Halted, and Rishi helped take that photography and bring it to life in the vinyl and all the other imagery that we did for that record. So yeah, he's a wizard. He's a wizard, man. He's such a nice guy and like a great friend, but then also working with him in that capacity, he's like a straight up pro, easy to work with. He's done some album covers for my acoustic music, for Marcus as well, and some of the electronic stuff he does. So yeah, that guy's a wizard.
Yeah, it was such a trip to play the show with both of you, both bands, North End and Signal Hill, because I had seen Signal Hill probably 3, 4, 5 times over the years, but I had never spoken to them. And it was just weird because I had listened to them for so long and I had seen them so many times and I could recognize a couple of them, but I never talked to them. And, I don't know. I just didn't like go up to people and punish them. I still don't really.
Yeah. It's, sometimes it's good to have like that separation, like between like the band and the individual. I think playing with like bands that you grew up being like, wow, this band's amazing. And then getting to know them is like a new experience on like, then you go back and you listen to them and you love their music, but in a different way. And like, that's how I feel with Signal. Like when they put out their new record, it was this year. Yeah. The Start of Futures this year. It's like, dude, this thing crushes, but they're also like my really, really good friends. So I'm like, do I like it because they're my really good friends? I'm like, absolutely not. This album just crushes on its own. So it's like you have that personal like connection with the band, but like also before you knew them, like I was a fan of them. So it's just so cool that they are like still putting out some of their best music. They've been around for even longer than we've been around, and they're still putting out some of the best stuff they've ever put out as a band.
Yeah, Discarded Futures, definitely a top record in their discography for me. How was that tour to Post Festival? The show we played was amazing. I mean, Signal Hill had not played in almost 10 years. So there was a great crowd. I thought they killed it. I think everybody killed it. The presentation was great. It was just like overall great. How was the rest of the tour?
The rest of the tour was great. Completely agree that New York was awesome. It's always great to go back and play in New York. Like I remember we played like Spike Hill in Williamsburg or Don Pedro's in Brooklyn, like many, many years ago. So we always love getting back to New York. It was awesome playing with you and your dudes as well. Philadelphia was like our hometown show. So that's always, really cool for us to have friends, family, people that have been watching us play music for a long time. We had to do a little bit of a hike. So we played in Philadelphia and then we had to play in Detroit the next day. So being like the Pennsylvania guy, I was like, this is what we got to do. It's like, we got to do the thing that bands that tour in the East and go to the Midwest do, is we got to leave the Philly show, drive like halfway in the middle of the night, and then like do the rest. So we weren't sure if like, is that a good idea? We're getting old. So it's like, can we make the trek? But it actually wound up working out. So we went to Detroit and played in Detroit. And that was just awesome. Bands were super cool. Crowd was really good for the first time. Signal Hill or North End. Like we had not played in Detroit before. So, really what to expect. And it went really, really well. And then Youngstown, which is like right outside of Cleveland, was next at this amazing venue, the West Side Bowl. It's like a bowling alley, a record store. They had a hardcore show in the basement while we were playing on the main stage. The main stage was like incredible. They were super awesome to the bands, like really, really accommodating. It was an awesome way to end the tour. And like at all the stops along the way, whether it was like North End or Signal Hill, there was always someone that was like, hey, like I've been listening to you guys forever. And, a couple people flew from across the country just to catch the shows, just because they're like, y'all don't play too much, so we don't want to miss it. So it was really cool that was probably my highlight, Keith, was seeing folks that flew or drove long distances to see us play music. It means a lot.
I love that. Yeah, because neither of you have played an incredible amount or have done full US tours as far as I know. And people into this music, people into post-rock music are passionate about it. Like I used to run up to New York City on a weeknight to catch Caspian or whoever else, because like that was your only chance. It was your only chance to do it. And another thing I like about people in the greater post-rock scene, nice people. I've never met like an asshole into post-rock. You know what I mean? I've never met like a real asshole who like ruins a show or crowd kills or something at a post-rock show. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't think I have a good story for that. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's a pretty warm, welcoming, fun scene.
How about Post Festival? I would like to go to that festival one day. It is a consistently good lineup.
I'd like to go to it as well. So like we didn't go to Post Fest with Signal. So after the show in Youngstown, we split back to Pennsylvania. They drove from Youngstown to Indianapolis. I regret it though. I mean, it was a long, like 5 days on the road, and Marcus had to fly in from Denver, Colorado for the tour and stuff like that. But I regret not going. It seemed like an awesome time, and we were getting the texts in the group chat about all the stuff when they were setting up. It looked so awesome. It seemed like it was a really great memory for those guys, but unfortunately, we didn't go.
Damn. Well, it's going to happen soon enough. It has to.
Well, it's like a loaded lineup, though. It's like Converge played on the one night, and Standards played, which is a great math rock band, million other awesome bands, and then Signal. So it seemed like they've been doing that for the last couple years. It's a pretty cool festival, man. They've gotten some cool bands over the years.
Yeah, it's like one of the only times you'll probably ever see Signal Hill and Converge on the same bill.
You're so right about it. That's like the perfect bill for me, though. That's like in a laboratory. If a bill was designed, it would have Signal Hill and Converge on it.
I mean, me too. There would be like a couple heavy shoegaze bands, a couple really metallic hardcore bands, some post-rock bands. Yeah, just everything I like.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
So when North End is getting started and we're meeting these bands and we're playing, what are you up to? Like, what are your aspirations? Do you want to tour all the time? Do you want to be in a band all the time? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I think that we were just always all about the writing and like the process of writing new songs, recording them, getting those out into the world, and like playing some shows to support it. We did like a couple shorter runs of shows, like very small tours. Actually went out to Southern California back in like 2012. I think it was 2012, yeah, after our album Atlantica was released. So we played in like Long Beach and LA and San Diego. So we got to go and like tour the West Coast, but it was really like a small little run of shows. San Diego was like one of my favorite shows we've ever played. We played with a band called Stage Kids. Have you ever heard of Stage Kids, Keith?
No.
You should check them out. They haven't been super active lately, but they're amazing guys, and they make awesome kind of post-rock, math rock, upbeat stuff. They've been playing music for a really long time. You should definitely check them out. So that was always our aspiration, would be like write the music, record it, make sure that it was like unapologetically what we were trying to create at that time, play some shows to support it, and then kind of rinse, repeat. Like the long tours were never something that we like dove super deep into. I think that's just more life and opportunity. We were not against doing it either. So like when the Signal tour came up, like it was our first time kind of getting out to the Midwest. So it's cool. Let's check it out. But I think the scene like in Philly and New York and New Jersey at that time, like was so strong that we could like hang out in that kind of tri-state area and just still play awesome shows. Bands like Owl, if you remember Owl, it was OWEL. They awesome, like Jay and Ryan and all those guys were super awesome. They wound up, I think, doing stuff on Equal Vision. Later on, like they were around and we were playing with them. And then like other bands would come in and like from outside. I remember we got to play with Maserati. That was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to play with Maserati.
I love that band. I forgot all about them until right now.
I feel like there's a couple of those when like you get the email or the message on Facebook or whatever it is, and you're like, do you want to play with this band? And it's just like, well, I probably should check with the other guys to make sure they're not like out of town or on vacation, but I'm just going to say yes. And if they've got other things going on, like they might need to just move those things around. And Maserati was definitely one of those. Light was another one. I don't know if you've ever heard of Light before. They're from Japan. They played in Harrisburg, and we got to open for them. And that was like super, super cool.
When did you play with Maserati?
Oh man, that was probably 2013.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing them when Jerry was still on drums before his very tragic and untimely passing. That was the first time I watched just the drummer the whole time, seeing them live. And then they played again, and I was like, I'm not going to go. And I really wish I would have went. And then sadly, he died. But eventually they came back and they had a new drummer. And I would go see them every time, no matter what. Like they were just, they're just amazing. Are they still active? I haven't heard from them in a while. I got to check in on them.
I have to check in on them too. I don't know how active they are. I just remember hearing them for the first time, and I'm like, I've been playing delay pedals for a pretty long time. I've never got a delay pedal to do that before. And I was just like an immediate hook with the energy and the melodic nature of their music, and just how it, with the amazing drumming, you're totally right about like just driving it forward. I was like, wow.
I'm glad I'm talking to you. I'm remembering a lot of bands now, and now I want to go back and listen to them all.
I know. I know. I try to listen to like new bands like whenever I can, and like we try to keep up on, hey, this band is good, but like I just find myself kind of taking a walk down memory lane more and more in terms of some of that genre of music, because it's not just like the music that they wrote. It was like the time in the world when they wrote it, where I was in my life when they wrote it. It just like brings you back to that place. But then there's also something that's like, it still holds up. Like a Maserati record still holds up.
Yeah, I listened to that first full length. I can't remember when. It might have been the beginning of this year, and it's still unbelievably good. But that's the thing, is like basically mostly what I'm listening to is whatever's coming up on the podcast, because I book out like 1, 2, 3 months out now, and there's just endless music coming in of, guests being pitched, or stuff that I got into from the show, or stuff that's going to come on the show, whatever. It's a constant thing now. So I'm listening to that, or, once in a while something sneaks in on Spotify radio, or something new that I find, or someone recommends something, and then that'll be in the rotation too. I was just thinking about this too. I don't listen to music as much as I used to. A lot of that has to do with not driving, and I don't walk around with headphones anymore. I don't know. I stopped after the pandemic. Like I don't know. I just like to walk and be aware and see what's going on. So I would like to get back to a lot more music listening though. How is it for you?
Yeah, I know. You kind of have to squeeze it in. So I never would have thought I would say this many years ago, but sometimes I look forward to like mowing the grass and just throwing the headphones in when I'm mowing the grass and just kind of like checking out new music. That's a good place to do it. I have a little bit of a commute for my job at times. I travel, I fly a lot for my job as well. So there's like a lot of opportunities for me to do it there. But I think it's like still something I have to get better at balancing, because I'll just be like, oh, check out something new. And there are some really cool new things in math rock. And I'm like, kind of want to go back to this Mercury program record again and just kind of rock that, or some, American Dollar that I was listening to like 14 years ago. Maybe I'll just go back and listen to that. So I need to do a better job like listening to new stuff, because I just keep going back to these records that I loved from so many years ago.
There's another one, Mercury program. The split they did with, didn't they do a split with Maserati?
They did a split with Maserati, yeah.
That thing, oh my God, I just remembered that exists. I'm going to listen to that. And American Dollar is unbelievable. Have you ever seen them?
I have not seen American Dollar.
They're great. I came up to New York a couple of times to catch them. The great live show. They played again, like, I don't know, sometime in the past 4 years. And I don't know, I couldn't find anybody to go with me, so I just didn't go. But drives are a good time to catch up on music. I'm actually driving to Philly tomorrow night, and I will listen to something.
Have you ever seen the Mercury program live?
Yeah, they played Kung Fu Necktie. Maybe
you went to that one.
2009, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. I was at that.
Gotcha. Yeah, they played in like 2018 or 2019. They did like a couple shows like relatively recently. I actually caught them in Brooklyn. I just so happened to be in Brooklyn for work. So I was going to miss them in Philly. I think they played, I don't know where they played in Philly actually, but I was like, I'm in New York, Mercury program's here. They might be my favorite band I've ever seen live is the Mercury program. It was great. There's like 8 inches of snow on the ground. I had to like walk there from where I was staying. It was just a really, really cool like experience that I remember, but they were so good live.
I don't remember any of it, but I also used to drink very heavily. So there's a lot I don't remember from those days. What do you do for your job?
I'm in marketing and PR and communications, in the trucking industry, actually. So repair and maintenance on medium and heavy duty trucks. I work for like a bigger company. We bought a bunch of smaller companies that do repair and maintenance on trucks. So it was an interesting like career path that I went into. I was with like a startup that got bought by this big company almost 16 years ago, and spent some time in like the car dealership side of marketing, and then moved to the trucking side. It's like a really great company based out of Atlanta, and was able to do a lot of really cool things in my career.
Do you get to work remotely?
Yeah. I work from remotely a decent amount. We've got an office kind of close by. I'm probably on an airplane once a month or more.
Do you
So
hate
it's a little
that?
bit of a mix. Do I hate traveling by airplane?
Do you
Kind
hate
of,
traveling for work?
kind of, kind of.
I do, because I used to have to do it constantly, like every week, all the time. Now it's maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and I'll take that.
Yeah, yeah. When I get there and like we're doing what we're doing, like that's I love that. But being away from like family or just the rigors of traveling, airport travel, all that stuff is like it's not as fun. And most people travel because they're like going on a vacation or something fun. But 90% of the travel in my life has not been for that. It's been for work. So all of that stuff takes a whole new connotation when you're doing it all the time.
Exactly. I feel the same way. North End. Let's talk about the creative process for North End. How does it work when you're writing a song? Do you bring something almost done? Do we just jam out and put parts together? What are the different ways that it happens?
I think early on we did a lot of jamming and pulling different ideas together, and we still do a good bit of that when we're writing. I think as we started to bridge more from doing post rock music to more of that math rock style with a little bit more intentional detail and intentional movement and signature changes, we started to kind of do the bring it a little bit more baked to the table, but it's never fully baked when it comes to the table. I like to always think that like Kevin, who plays drums for us, he's like the more than just the beat. He's kind of the driving force to the songwriting. So if I bring something to the table and the way he's interpreting that and putting drums to that, that could change. Okay, like let's change this up a little bit and take it in a new direction. And then as like Pete and Marcus start to put their layers on, or bring new ideas to the table, but more often they're putting their layers on, kind of what Kevin and I are working on. It's almost like opening up a gift, like on the holidays or like for your birthday. It's like to listen to the dudes like take the song in a different direction. It's so much fun for me as being the person that it kind of starts with in a lot of ways. Where it ends is like nowhere near where I had it, where it started. And that's so exciting. A lot of the recording we do virtually. So we haven't recorded all together in a studio probably since Kevin Dye recorded Cognosphere. So we all kind of have the home studio set up. We record drums in a studio, and then we all kind of record to that in our own houses. And I remember back in the day going to like Headgear Studios in Brooklyn and playing. It was like so much fun. I think we all like the home recording setup. It allows us to kind of sink in, be comfortable in our environments, not be held to time or feel that time crunch. Sometimes in a studio, you're not in a time crunch, but like you still kind of feel it anyway. Like I feel like I'm on a time crunch. But when you're in like a home studio, you're able to kind of get it done at your own pace. So we've been doing that. And we linked up with Anoop Sastry for the last couple releases that we've done. He's this incredible drummer. He's played in a lot of played in Intervals back in the day, which is an awesome progressive metal band. But he does drums for different artists, did some drums for a band called Snooze that we're really, really into. And we just kind of reached out to him saying, hey, like would want to help with mixing and mastering. And it all came from, Kevin being that kind of driving force, like very drum forward in what we're doing, very dynamic in the drumming, with him playing drums himself. And then also like just doing a lot of work with a lot of different artists. We thought it would really work out. We've really loved working with Anoop. He's great.
Yeah, I was listening to Centerpoint again, the newest single, and the drumming is insane. Like just the accents and all the bass hits thrown in that are lining up with everything. It's like crazy. I love it.
Yeah, he's known Kevin a really, really long time. I think that over the last several years, we've all started putting like a lot more intentional writing to everything. Like we love the organic kind of making it up. A lot of the early demos that we do, a lot of that stuff will be the fills or the layers that we wind up putting on the final product. But I think a great evolution of our band over the years has been kind of demo, and then really sit on it and be like, well, how can we make this interesting? How can we make this different? I think when you have a long discography, that's a super healthy thing to do. Is we've got a lot of songs, like how can we continue to like iterate on what we've done before? And with the style of music we play and the bar we kind of have for the music that we play, it just takes a little bit more time and a little bit more attention to detail. And I think Centerpoint's a great example of Kevin showing that, because like the drumming he plays on that track is absolutely insane.
Oh yeah. When you're writing remotely, how do you perfect it? I mean, do you because all right, if memory entry's writing, maybe I'll say this and someone else will say no this, and we just bounce it back and forth and try different things when we're standing there. How do you do it if you're writing remotely? Will you send something else and say what about this? Or will you email everyone and say no, can we try doing this instead? And then everyone records it. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things still happen, writing a bit more remotely. It just looks a little different than being in a room and bouncing ideas off each other, even though that still happens at different parts of the process. I think there are a lot of different, I mean, if you start from like Centerpoint, for example, I cannot even begin to count, Keith, how many versions of that demo they're wound up being until there's the final one. So you have to be pretty open-minded. I mean, even in the core writing, Pete could come in and say, hey, have you ever thought about, moving from doing it like this or this amount of times or with this kind of rhythmic feel to a slightly different rhythmic feel? It's no, I haven't. So we'll go check that out. I think a lot of things change when Kevin starts to get in there with drums in terms of how we want the vibe of that song to be. There's a lot of back and forth that goes on at that point. There's also some instances in as we move to remote writing where Pete and I are writing the song together. So he'll write a part or I'll write a part, and then we start to cobble those things all together. So it's not happening in a room at a time, but it's happening with just recording in the house, sharing demos. We live close enough together so we can have conversations face to face with it as well. It is different from back in the day where we kind of get into a room and yes, no, different things like that, but it still happens. It's just in a slightly different format. Does
it make it difficult doing it remotely? Because I know myself, I could see myself being I really don't want to record this again. I don't know if I want to change it. I don't want to record it again just to try it to see if it works. Does anything like that ever happen?
I think that we've adapted to it pretty well. I mean, Marcus does a lot of music out in Colorado and has an awesome setup, and he's really comfortable in that space. So I feel like he's just super efficient about cutting his tracks, getting it back, getting feedback, iterating on it. He just does that so well. Pete's the same way. I do struggle a little bit with that, Keith, what you just said, though. I'm is this as good as it can be? Can I do this a little better? Should I keep going? Am I getting tired? You are in your head a lot more. I think, but one of the positives, though, is never underestimate a good, let your ears rest for a day and come back to it. That really helps me, where I'm this sounds off. I don't know what's off about it. It just sounds off while I'm recording it. And I'll go and I'll just do something else, sleep, and then have the ability to come back to that again and re-listen. And I think more often than not, I'm okay, that wasn't as off as I thought. But you're able to take a little bit more time almost to not just be the player, but to be the listener of it as well. It's it's what I'm listening to, something that I would enjoy. So that allows me to, doing it at home allows me to do that a little bit more than in a studio where you do it and it's all, you're in that atmosphere. It's great. But if you kind of listen to it that fourth or fifth time later as you're mixing, oh, there's something I maybe would have done differently if I would have had the time. In the home studio, you can do that.
Yeah, I just reach a point where my brain turns to mush and I can't comprehend what's different or what's not anymore. Is it good? Is it not? Also, I could easily become one of those guys who's no, I have to do 100 takes to get it perfect. I could easily become one of those people, and I will not let myself do it. I reach a point when I'm it's not going to get any better. I refuse to go down this path. This is it. It has to stop here.
The one thing I always tell myself is like, you got to think about what you're playing in the grand scheme of what this song is going to turn into. Like you have to do that, especially when you're remote writing. It's like not everybody has put all the layering on. Like you have not even put all your layering on. So don't judge the song in that moment. Think about it in the grand scheme of like when everything else comes on, is this going to just fit the vibe correctly? The other thing is I wanted to ask you this too, and I don't know how to explain it exactly. I feel like when we would go cut records in recording studios, or even a little bit when you're doing the home recording, I feel like your ears can reach a point where literally what I'm listening to seems like sonically off. Like, is my guitar out of tune? Is everybody's instruments out of tune? I don't know if I've had that experience before. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, did we do this all wrong? And then again, the next day I come back with fresh ears and it sounds completely fine. That has happened to me before. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, I was in a band called The Basement Year in 2017. We recorded, but it never went beyond that. And the last song we recorded, I thought like it just slowed down in one part. And I remember writing the engineer. I'm like, does it sound like the whole tempo slows down too much at this one part? And he's like, no, I don't know if it's real or not. I get weird things like that. I'm like, did that slow down too much? Is this in tune, or just weird stuff like that?
Yeah, it's wild. It's like your ears and your brain kind of get tired, just like any other part of your body when you're doing that level of concentration on writing for that long. So I've had that happen. So it's like, it's good to be able to step away and kind of reset and kind of come back. It's good.
And I'm too hard on myself, and I get too close to it. Like I've had situations where I record and I'm like, oh, this is bad. This doesn't sound that good. And then it comes out and everyone's like, no, it's great. Even with the Memory Entry EP, I was like, I feel like we could have done a lot better. Like, I don't know if I love the way this sounds. And then it came out and people only said good things. One podcast reviewed it and they said the guitars are bordering on out of tune. And I actually take that as a compliment.
That fits you. That fits the vibe that you're trying to put out with the music. I love your EP, by the way. So if anybody asks me, I'm a huge fan of it. It just reminds me of, again, the music that I listened to when I was growing up.
That was where all the inspiration. Yeah. Those kind of bands.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting with doing this in general. It's like you put these records out and then they're out. There's like other people are going to have a point of view on it. And in a way that's like a little bit scary because you're like, well, what are they going to think about it? But in another sense, it's kind of cool because it's like they can think about it any way they'd like to think about it, which kind of makes doing the whole thing pretty cool to begin with.
When I write, I'm true to myself and the project and the people in the band and, just trying to make the best thing possible. So whatever happens, happens. Well, in 2025, now at least I can accept that. Do you feel that way?
I feel like I accept that like more now than I did when I was younger. I think that I've been able to like put out some things that I'm really proud of and the guys are really proud of. So I think that that'll always help. But the other thing that I think about is like, okay, it's out. Time to go to the next record. So I have that mindset too of, okay, this one's done. There's probably some things you could have done differently, but I'm just excited to go write more. So it's like always on to the next record. I think if you have that energy to keep doing that, that shows that you're still having fun and like there's a part of this that's still energizing you.
What's coming up? Do we have any new material coming out? Any shows? What can you tell us, Russ?
New material is coming. So that's where the focus is right now with me and the guys, like writing some new songs. We're in the throes of that, which is one of my favorite kind of parts of the process. And like I said, writing and kind of watching it grow. So we're in the throes of that. We're going to release new music next year. We're going to do some fun stuff as well. We'll try to match the tour with Signal Hill. That's going to be a tough bar to overcome, but we hope to, like, just like we've been doing for a long time, focus on writing, put this music out and play some shows to support that and hopefully to new audiences. That's the goal.
Well, I'm looking forward to more. And if you're going to be playing somewhere near me, I hope to be there again. So Russ, I love the band. I love everything you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Keith.